Wait, are we recording?
Yes.
Welcome to Brian's Attic. I'm
Hey.
Go ahead.
This is my attic. All right.
And he is Brian.
Oh, yeah. I'm Brian. This is
Caleb.
Brian's attic. This is my attic. Andrew, Caleb,
Hi.
their worst enemies.
What up?
Yeah, we might.
Not
as well.
really.
So
They went on a hiking trip once.
Oh no. We're gonna have an attic fight a couple episodes
you spend
in.
3 days and 2 nights with a man that changes.
We're gonna move
Changes
this
him, too.
table.
I just
we're gonna
realized
move all the
another
equipment
good
back,
name
and we're
for
just
this
gonna fight each other.
podcast would be Attic Antics.
But if we just sit here and talk, we're not really getting.
Then we'd be going to AA meetings.
Yes.
Moving on.
We're not alcoholics. Don't worry.
Well,
This
This
I
is
mean,
coffee.
Yeah, coffee. Anyway. What?
No.
Oh, I was ready
Hey,
to
man.
move on.
All right, yeah. Let's move on.
Andrew, well, let's
He'd
give
be
our
going
give
to
our
a
our
triple
format.
meeting. Andrew's.
We start with a topic. This
Spill it.
whatever time of days it is. Topic is for Andrew to provide,
Yeah, it's just gonna be like a springboard thing. So,
and then it will meander. Who knows where?
Yeah, it's
Probably to
gonna
Mount
meander.
Doom.
Mount Doom. I thought you said Mount Doom.
The hobbits are going to
I'm still
Isengard.
Yes,
thinking
I mix my sci-fi and my fantasy.
I mean, like Dune is pretty.
Mountain Dune.
Dune is pretty much fantasy, sci-fi.
Those are
It's both.
shifting sands, though.
Yes.
So can you ever really reach the
It's
top?
probably more fantasy than it is sci-fi.
Right. Just like how,
Totally
how
sci-fi.
Star Wars is more fantasy than sci-fi. It just has a sci-fi
Yes.
backdrop. Star Trek is the real sci-fi, and that's why
It's not even hard
boring.
sci-fi though. That's what's interesting because like, okay, sorry, I'm not gonna go into Star Trek. Keep going.
All right. Anyway, well, so what I want to
Apparently,
talk
the
about.
first topic is brought to us by Caleb.
Yeah, I guess we're talking about Wrath of Khan now. I don't know. You watched Wrath of Khan, right?
The second best Star Trek film.
What did you think the first one was? The first best one was?
Undiscovered Country is the best.
Is it the third one?
It's the sixth one.
The problem is I
were
don't
six?
even know if this is a controversial opinion to argue.
No, it
Neither
is.
do- I haven't seen any Star Trek.
When you look at it, it's usually competition
seen
between
any of
those two.
No, I haven't
No.
seen any. Not the movies.
So
not the-
first
There's six movies in the original series that follow the original series, and then 6 Next Generation movies.
Wow, 12 in total.
Yeah,
That's a lot.
Well, that's not even counting the reboot ones.
I was about to say how many.
We don't count those.
How many
The Calvin
reboots-
timeline is garbage.
How many
and-
reboots were there? 3, 2, 3, at least 2.
There's 3 of the rebooted movies. There's only been 1 reboot though.
Oh
That's what I'm
yeah,
saying.
yeah. That's what I meant. In the rebooted.
I was like, if
timeline.
they're probably gonna reboot it again
how many
because
more
how
reboots?
unsuccessful.
Like this is just Evangelion. Like we're just gonna keep rebooting it over
I
and
would
over
not be
Wait,
again.
surprised.
is there only Star Trek Into Darkness and then Beyond?
Yes.
Isn't there?
No, there's not 4 because all the actors were.
Don't look
kind
at
of
me,
like,
I have no
"Oh,
idea."
Oh, I thought there was another one that I just missed. I never saw Beyond.
Yeah, funny enough, the only TV series that wasn't
Never
affected
saw
by
it.
the timeline split was Enterprise because it happened before the events of the timeline split. I mean, I
What
guess
was
the later
point
films
of-
weren't.
Wait, what?
So this is the thing that. So normally, oh man, I'm sorry, I'm stealing your thunder.
No, please.
I was gonna say-
I don't mind at all.
Normally, like the whenever they're gonna do a reboot, they like, okay, are we gonna do a continuation of the thing far in the future to where we don't have to deal with the continuity issues with a new one, or are we going to just do a brand new universe in general so that we don't touch the old universe? But Star Trek was like, okay, let's have an event where somebody from a alternate timeline, which it's already been established that there's like different timelines because there's like the dark timeline, the mirror universe in Star Trek. But they're like, okay, what if we have like a timeline split where somebody goes back in time and there's a massive event that basically it's like it happens in one timeline, but in the course of the other. So basically the one guy, it's so dumb. This is why I think it's dumb. They should have just kept the continuity how it was. So there's
What
a
movie
person.
are we talking about now?
What movie are we talking
So
about?
a person
indeed?
from the original.
Are we talking about the reboot trilogy that we've? That
Yes, I'm talking about
most
both.
recent.
I'm talking about both because you have to. So basically, in the prime timeline, this is the prime timeline where all the TV shows take place in, prior to the new movies.
They probably
A
rebooted it because no one
protagonist.
wanted to watch all. Of them.
What is it called? A protagonist.
You can't convince the average person to watch all the
666 episodes.
series, and then all 12 movies.
In both timelines,
Just start over with and just
Romulus
go from
and
there.
or the star in the Romulan system blows up, And so the villain for the new franchise comes from the time after that blew up, and he was mad about it blowing up and blamed the Vulcans for the damage that was caused. So he goes back in time to blow up Vulcan earlier with his like advanced ship, and basically that
advanced mining ship.
Yeah, but yeah, it's lame. Like I don't like the new films at all.
And this is the Cardassian Empire?
No, the Romulan
Star Empire. So I guess what I'm saying is the event of Vulcan blowing up didn't happen in the original timeline. So the original timeline's still
Romulan
intact.
Stargate
It's just like that guy was plucked and then put in this timeline, and the events of the newest of the Star Trek films creates this other timeline that springs out of it. So the prime timeline still exists, but then this is the new timeline, the Kelvin timeline that comes out of this.
Who was Kelvin?
He was the guy who, I believe, did the
wasn't thinking
films.
it was a person, but apparently it is.
I think he was like the guy who had the idea for the films, or
okay.
So
an actual person.
Like a real person.
Kelvin temperature.
No, because it would have been named after a person. It would have been called like the
You're
Nero
like trying
timeline.
to make a joke with the name, but it turned out to be real.
And yeah,
Melvin
so
timeline
because you actually still have in the first film you have two Spocks, because you have the one that's like the old Spock, and then you have the new Spock played by the other actor, because the old Spock comes back.
Zachary Quinto.
Yes, to come, because Leonard Nimoy was alive, which is funny because he said he was never going to come back for a Star Trek film after Star Trek 6, and then he decided to come back for this one.
He was too busy singing about Bilbo Baggins.
Well, we wrote a book called I Am Not Spock, because he was an actor who was so associated with Spock that he felt like, and then he later wrote a book that said I Am Spock. So basically his for a lot of his professional career, it irritated him.
I started losing money.
It irritated him because he was like, everybody thinks of me as Spock, so I can't get cast anything. But then later on, in reflecting on like his acting career and such, he was like, he considered it to be like one of the greatest honors to play that character. So, but he decided to come back for this film because he is older, and honestly, they had to have offered him a ton of money to come back. Let's be fair.
I think the term is bukus.
Buku bucks. Anyway, I don't know why we were talking about the timeline anyway, but that's the gist of like why there's two timelines, and so
I thought when we first started talking about it, I thought you were saying something that in Beyond they decided to like go back to the original timeline.
No,
and disregard the fact that they made a second timeline, so they didn't have to.
No. But all I was saying was in the new timeline, there's only 3 films.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they basically ended it. In the TV shows that they've made...
they ended it.
Well, the TV show... Well, they were going to make a 4, but that's another story. But I was going to say...
Chris Pine wanted money.
Well, all the actors got really big in the meantime, and so it's like more and more money. But now they have TV shows which take place in the original timeline. So it's like, why did you make this whole separate timeline if you were just going to...
Well, it's because they had younger actors.
Yeah, Discovery and Picard take place in the prime timeline.
Because they didn't have to...
No, they didn't have to go back to that same era. That's the other problem.
The only reason they made the new timeline is so that they didn't have to be consistent.
I don't want this whole episode to be about Star Trek, but I'm going to say you don't go... It's okay to do a prequel series that's completely different than the sequel series or a completely different time period, because it's like you don't have to deal with the same characters interacting with people or weird events. But they literally made a show that takes place during the events of TOS, or 10 years before TOS. So you're creating a problem where there doesn't have to be a problem. That's why Discovery, the technology looks amazing, all the starships look wonderful, and then you watch the original series and you know how the sets are and everything, and it's like, okay, well...
It's like, why are all the planets made of styrofoam?
Yeah, why is there 6 planets that have the same desert set, Why does this city look like the city from 3 episodes ago, it's you can't do that. Or you can, but it's just...
You get the mess we're in right now.
Yes. So, anyway, I don't know how we got on that subject, but that's the complicated nature
Because you just talk about Star Trek, that's why.
Okay, but I want you to talk about what you want to talk about.
It's funny because...
We can even cut that out.
No,
this
fine.
topic was Star Trek.
You've secretly been watching all 666 episodes, and he was going to reveal to me that
Wait, there's 666 episodes? Exactly?
Well, and I...
That's why it's called the Devil's TV Show.
I knew it! Gene Roddenberry is a Satanist.
Roddenberry?
What's his name?
He's a dairy farmer?
Whatever, I don't care. I meant dairy.
Fruit,
not dairy.
milk.
He's a simple farmer.
He's agriculture.
It's a simple...
He's agriculture. He's an agrarian. He's an agriculturalist.
It's a simple life.
Yeah. Probably shouldn't
it's-
reference conversations before.
It's
Whatever.
okay.
Video.
It's a new timeline.
That's fine. Do we care about the
You'd have
audience?
to explain
We don't
that.
care about continuity.
We don't. No, we don't care about the audience. No. We care about continuity. We just don't care about the audience.
Yeah, that's right.
Anyway.
I will still refrain. It would require explanation.
No, they don't deserve explanation.
Yeah.
So I was actually going to be talking about Gunvolt. So Brian has a passing understanding of Gunvolt, if only because I purchased a Steam game for him.
I've watched the trailer.
Yes. So basically, and when I say passing, like nothing. So Gunvolt is made by the same people who made a sub-series of the Mega Man series of games. And the reason I'm bringing this up is that it's kind of like the last topic I had, where it was the same guy behind two different series.
Mm-hmm.
This time it's a whole independent studio behind two different series. So the two series are Mega Man Zero and the Gunvolt series, and the developer is called Inti Creates. It's funny because Inti Creates is actually an offshoot of Capcom. Some of the guys who worked on Mega Man, they went and made their own company in like the earlier late 90s, I think.
Wow. Gunvolt's a pretty well-known series too. So.
No,
Yeah,
Mega
no,
Man's a
man.
well-known series.
No, man.
No one knows Gunvolt.
No, I know of Gunvolt, and it's
You
not
do?
even because, I knew of the series before. Like,
Oh,
I don't know
wow.
very much about it.
Well, anyway, let me just kind of go through it. So, if you look at the sorts of the way that Inti Creates likes to tell these stories, there's a lot of parallels. So, in Mega Man Zero, the idea is that the entire Earth has been reduced to in a post-apocalyptic wasteland, besides one city called Neo Arcadia. Arcadia is like this Greek. It's a Greek word, and it referenced a mythical place, or not a real place, but like it had attained a mythical quality of being like a lush paradise. Neo Arcadia, Neo Paradise, heaven, basically.
Yeah.
But the idea is that the humans in Neo Arcadia are
But it's like
pampered.
it's different. Arcadia is different from a utopia, though.
Yes.
Utopia is a like man-made perfect place to live. Arcadia is like a naturally perfect place to live.
And Neo
If I
Arcadia.
understand.
But the thing is,
It's a new
it's
perfect
Neo
place.
Arcadia, as in to reference that it's artificial. It's a
Okay.
utopia for humans. It was
Not
absolutely
pseudo Arcadia.
No, I think that's asking a bit too much.
not
of a command.
Stadium Arcadia.
That's asking too great of a command of the English language for people
Neo
who
Arcadia
speak
would just
Japanese.
be new.
That's what I was thinking.
Yes, yeah, New Arcadia.
I guess it
New
kind
Arcadia.
of
new
makes
paradise.
it artificial
It's
inherently.
New paradise, basically. But
New Garden of Eden,
The entire
pretty
yeah.
much.
I didn't want to reference that. It's not that I didn't. I wasn't going to. But yes, basically that. The rest of the world has been bombed to nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the only arable place of plot of land. It's the only livable part
Mm-hmm.
of the world. And the idea is that you have humans and reploids. Reploid is a portmanteau of replication android.
Mm-hmm.
The replication android, because all of them are based on one guy. That's Mega Man X
Mm-hmm.
from the previous series. So there's continuity.
Wait. Okay. Are we talking about Gunvolt or Mega Man?
We're talking about Mega Man first.
Yeah,
because
yeah, and then he's gonna explain the
okay.
parallels.
I'm trying to
between the two
explain
of
the
them.
parallels. So you have this guy Mega Man X, and he is like the ruler of Neo Arcadia. And by this time, it's been 100 years since the events of Mega Man X. So if you play the X series, it helps. But if you hadn't, like me, when I first played the Zero series, I didn't play the X series. I had no idea who X was.
Mm-hmm.
He has this mythical quality about him. He's essentially like their king. But and for things that will that I can kind of gloss over later, he's not around right now.
Mm-hmm.
So people are like, okay, well, we need someone to be a leader, and we're also facing an energy shortage, because the Reploids need energy crystals, kind of a generic thing, but fuel,
Mm-hmm.
oil, whatever you want to call it.
MacGuffins.
Yeah, MacGuffins, and the humans also need it to power the city.
Oh,
Well,
so there's a divide between
Right, the
them,
Reploids
yeah.
need it to live, and the humans need it
So it's a
to live.
war with the machines.
Basically, but the thing is, the Reploids work on the three laws of robotics. They can't harm humans. So, this one scientist makes
So
a copy of Mega Man X.
Is it intentionally like ripping off Asimov?
It's not. It's
Not
there.
ripping off.
There's
Homage.
yeah. It's never explicitly stated, but the fact that the Reploids never raise their hand against a human, and they get told like, "Oh, you can't hurt humans," and the fact that like when the main character of the series, Zero, says, "Even if you're a human, I don't care. I'll kill you anyway," it's seen as like a really big thing that he's not a Reploid though, because he's not based on X. There's only two of because he's a robot.
Okay.
He's unique.
Yeah, he's not. Yeah, he's different than like the
Zero and
the
X are the only
Reploids
unique
that-
unique robots. Everyone else is based on X.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they look like, one's a polar bear, doesn't look anything like X. Obviously.
Yeah, but the internal components. And
right.
everything of the
Technology's
system, yeah.
based on X, so technically X is like everyone's daddy. Yeah, I know. Poor choice of words. Anyway, this scientist says, okay, well, I've studied X's internal components. I'll make a new X with the same AI and everything.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing is, X had gone through like 30 or 40 years of morality training to make him a good person, whereas Copy X doesn't have any of that.
Mm-hmm.
He's just treated like a god, and so he assumes he can't do anything wrong. So what he decides is like, okay, I'm just gonna be really utilitarian about it. The humans are more important than the Reploids. We'll just sacrifice the Reploids for energy, and we'll just keep the city going that way. So he's a totalitarian ruler, and he's also killing. He's enacting genocide.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole game is about toppling him. The first one, and you do, and this kind of the parallel with Gunvolt is that you have this guy called Nova. Nova is the main boss. Well, spoiler alert for a 7-year-old game. He is the penultimate boss for the first game, and he is what's called an adept, like ADEPT.
Mm-hmm.
He can use psychological superpowers. That's the whole thing. That's the whole conceit of the game of Gunvolt is that people have superpowers. It's like X-Men.
Mm-hmm.
It's all like X-Men, and they're really rare. People hate them because they're powerful and can't be controlled. And Nova's idea is to sacrifice or mind control people who have powers and subjugate them to the human population so that humanity doesn't go extinct.
Mm-hmm.
You kill him and then realize that, nah, you pretty much just kill him. I'm thinking of Metal Gear Rising where you kill the final boss and then realize he was right, which was a pretty sick twist, but anyway, that's not important.
Spoilers?
That game's even older, so 8-year-old game. If you don't know who Senator Armstrong is, I don't know what to tell you.
I don't.
Nanomachines, son.
I think I always like that's a story mechanism I've seen a lot of times where you have two different emergent cultures, and there's something they're fighting over, and they have to either learn to work together or there has to be internal fighting to determine who's going to be on top.
And I can't really express this just with words, but a lot of like the color schemes even match. So for instance, the main villain of the second game is a person called Pantera.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, by the way, all the bosses for the games get named. So for the first game, they're all named after cars. For instance, one guy's called Daytona.
Mm-hmm.
Like his name is Daytona. It's like that doesn't make any sense.
Like something Idaho. What's his name?
Duncan Idaho.
Duncan
That was
Idaho.
Duncan Idaho.
Yeah.
That's Dune. That's Dune. That's the audience won't know what we're talking about unless
Who
you
cares?
read. Yeah, exactly.
We have a cultured audience.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do. We know everything. No.
Yeah, they're
what-
like yeast.
What?
They're cultured.
Oh, yeast
Oh,
culture,
yes.
bacteria. They're bacteria.
You're bacteria.
You're a single-celled organism. That's your understanding. But
Our audience is a disease.
ooh.
That needs to be cleansed.
Oh boy.
Just
Are
like
you-
the
are you-
Reploids.
Are you Agent Smith?
I hate the
Humanity
Reploids.
is a virus.
I
Anyway,
hate people. They should all die. Just kidding.
Anyway, the bosses for the first game are all named after cars, and the bosses for the second game are all named after missiles. I know, right? Like, it's like that's weird because like you have people named stuff like Jibril.
So you know which ones are the good ones.
No, you have to kill them all, and that's the thing. In the Mega Man series, you're only fighting robots, Reploids, whatever. They're robots.
What about Gundam? Are you fighting
Gunvolt.
or Gunvolt? Sorry.
They're all. Well, that's the thing. Are they human?
Sorry, I'm so okay. Gundam's a big series.
Gundam is a big series, and you're like, oh, Gunvolt's big, and it's Gundam, right?
No, I do know
Were you-
Gunvolt.
were you
no,
thinking-
I was not. I did not mix them up. I heard
Were you
Gunvolt.
thinking of Gundam this entire time? No, so in Gunvolt, you're killing
Wait,
people.
where's the mech?
Yeah,
You're killing people, but you're a robot.
No. You're still a human.
So you're just murder.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Like, and one of the questions is, are these people human? Now it's kind of like straw man, because the only person saying they're not human is like this genocidal like pseudo Batman figure.
Yeah.
He's actually, I say this like I hate him.
Neo Batman.
Sonic the Hedgehog.
He's actually my favorite character, just because his abilities are the coolest thing in the game. He's the one who's flying around on like the jet. The game that I bought you, the Luminous Avenger.
Mm-hmm.
That's the character you play as in that game.
Uh-huh.
And I'm actually glad we talked about the branching timelines, because the Gunvolt timeline has 2 different timelines.
Good.
So
What's the event?
Of all the things that talk,
I know.
I'm glad we talked about the branching timeline. It's like, how often does that come up?
I'm glad we primed that pump.
Good thing we've broached that topic.
Yeah. Just so that, just in case anyone wasn't aware of what a branching timeline is.
Yeah.
You know, so in the first game, you can collect these jewels scattered across 6 different stages. One jewel per stage. For the main 6 bosses. If you assemble them all, you can talk to like your companion, like some NPC, and she'll make like a necklace for you. If you wear it, after you beat the final boss, a secret ending occurs, or the true ending occurs, where you get shot by your foster father figure.
Sounds like a fun time.
Ironically, his name is Asimov.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he's the one who's like, actually,
You stole my work.
he's actually like the Magneto figure. The mutants are actually superior. We should rule the world. So the thing is, I should say, you get shot no matter what. If you wear the necklace, it helps the bullet not hit your heart. And then your companion, whom you rescued, also has like, she's the mind control fairy girl, whatever thing, and she sacrifices herself to merge with your consciousness and revive you from death. And then you go and
so
kill
now
him.
you're a half fairy girl in your consciousness.
Well, she's in your head, in your.
She's the
character's head.
Cortana of.
Kind of, but like much dumber.
Cortana's dumb though.
No, I mean like she's mostly just emotion, because her whole thing is her emotions allow her to amplify other people's superpowers. So your thing is lightning, and so you can like double jump and you can dash in the air, and the idea is that you have to spend a bar of meter to do these actions. But when she's using her power on you, it's all free. You can you can jump as many times as you want, dash as many times as you want in the air. Keep your lightning field up
All
for
it takes
however many
is her
times.
dying.
No, you have to die. Because this can happen in normal gameplay also, where she just free revives you for no reason. If you talk to her, it goes up by like 10%. Whatever. Anyway, it's actually really, the whole thing is like an anime power up. That's basically what it is. If you have the necklace, you survive, and we go on to the second game, where you fight the next boss, and they're coming out with the third game. They released the teaser trailer. I'm pretty sure it's going to be like next year. I don't think it's going to be this year. But if you don't get them all, you die, and your companion also dies with you. However, we go into the Luminous Avenger series, where you instead play as the rival character.
This is the alternate timeline.
This is the alternate timeline, where he wins, like your Asimov guy wins, and this is going to be an actual spoiler alert for like a 2-year-old game, well, more like a year and a half.
It's like the game that you bought me, but I haven't played yet.
Yes, because the main plot twist is that it's 100 years into the future, and so the character you're playing as has been like making himself into a cyborg. He's now like a robot. He's now a robot now. He's like there's like no
boom baby.
There's like no organic. No, his was booyah.
Oh, yeah.
You can't even get the catchphrase right. I was wondering at first. I was like, "How'd he screw that up?" Oh, come on, man! I can't believe you had like one chance and you screwed it.
I didn't watch
Boom,
Teen
baby.
Titans that much.
Whoa, really? Anyway, so
Like, whoa. Anyway, it was like
I can't believe it. I don't care anymore.
coping.
I'm more yeah.
So
Move through those emotions.
the
quickly.
thing is
I thought that show to be
I'm
kind of
still like-
cringy. A tad bit cringy. I
Teen
mean, I
Titans?
like the animation.
well,
And
yeah,
I like the characters, but it
was-
just seemed like characters were really whiny on it. Like,
You
like
hurt my soul.
no, like Beast Boy was kind of annoying.
he's the comic relief character.
But he was okay, and Raven was
He goes
okay.
through some cool character development.
I wish he chose cooler animals to turn
Slade
into.
was a cool villain
also
as
true.
well. Slade was a cool
Should
villain,
have been more dinosaurs.
but just Robin being like edgy and stuff. It's just like
Yeah, that's Dick Grayson, right?
Yeah,
I don't remember Dick Grayson ever being that edgy.
yeah. It kind of like I understand. Eventually, it
If it
probably
was,
turns into Nightwing.
Oh, you mean like the non-Robin persona, like his secret identity?
No, Dick Grayson is like the Robin who's like the nice one. It's Tim Drake who becomes Red Hood, who's edgy.
Well, but Dick Grayson becomes Nightwing. Right?
Yeah, but Nightwing's not edgy.
He kind of is. He hates
This Robin
Batman
Hood becomes Red X at some point.
to a certain extent.
I'm thinking of.
There's like 3 or 4 Robins, so
no, I'm thinking of the Dick Grayson in the timeline where like he's nice.
I don't think they ever specify.
I'm thinking of the
but
Injustice
I haven't-
timeline where Nightwing's a good guy.
well, Nightwing's always a good guy. It's just a matter of like, is he jaded about his past, or is he like somebody who's like?
I'm thinking the opposite of Damian Wayne. Damian Wayne
No.
is like Damian Wayne's whiny. Tim Drake is the one who gets nearly killed by the Joker, and he becomes Red Hood. He would be a good. If you told me like the Robin of Teen Titans was
be
Tim Drake,
turned into Red Hood, yeah.
if you told me that was Tim Drake, I'd believe it.
Mm-hmm.
But like Dick Grayson and Starfire are kind of a thing. So
Yeah. The animation style was very cool, very unique.
It's an excellent show. It's one of the best kids' TV shows.
I mean, if I was to pick between that and Young Justice, I'd honestly choose Young Justice.
I haven't seen Young Justice.
neither have I.
But it's basically like...
I know what it is.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to I'm not trying to dismiss you. Just like I do know. Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, I can't
that's
believe I
fine.
messed up the booyah.
No, it's I'd forgotten.
I'm
but thank you
fairly
for
certain
reminding
that
me.
Boom Baby is Kuzco from Emperor's
Yes,
New
it is.
Groove.
That is. Yeah,
Oh, boy.
definitely different.
Cusco
The sassiest
with
Disney...
like the arm cannon. Boom, baby.
He's the sassiest Disney princess. Yeah, that's
He's not a woman.
I know there's a ton
And
of
he's not a
memes about
princess,
it,
he's
though.
an emperor.
I know, there's a ton of memes about it, though.
Was he Disney?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Disney
technically
almost didn't make
speaking.
that movie because it was so out of the norm. Like, there's only one musical number. It's the one
There's
where
a reason why it's so good.
there's Cusco was bragging about himself in the number too, because I think he's talking about how he's so happy he's emperor. So it's like a Disney musical number where
I mean, he's not singing it.
no, but it is about him,
Right.
And it's about how great he thinks he is.
Right.
And that movie's got like a wholesome premise. Like he wants to build
ruler,
a house.
learns, humility and
Yeah.
And he's a jerk
friendship
most of the
and
movie. It's not
selflessness.
only till the very end, because even whenever he's going out with
it's a slow
Pacho,
transition,
I believe.
like any good
Kronk.
character development. Pacho.
Kronk's got some good character development because he actually ends up
Pull
being
the
a good guy.
switch.
Well,
Like
he was
Kronk.
never really evil.
Yeah, yeah,
He's
yeah.
just a hired henchman.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah,
Yeah, that one.
that one. Yeah. Oh man, squeaker, squeak, squeak, squeaker, squeaky, squeak. Oh, I know. I am. No, I do love the film because it is different. Because a lot of Disney films are formulaic. Like even the old
They're
ones.
kids' stories. What do you watch? What are you doing watching Disney as an adult and trying to critique it as like an adult movie? for
No,
kids.
okay. You went into this
A
earlier.
good movie is
Let-
going to be appropriate for both.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
Are,
what
are
I-
you saying it
like the
formulaic?
Or at
it's
least,
still
let me-
perfect?
or at least
tell you
a
a movie,
good
a kid's
children's
movie
movie
that-
will be good for adults as well.
Okay.
The Lego movie.
How many times do you have to watch it? Like
The Lego movie. It's good for adults and it's good
I
for
could
kids.
rewatch Emperor's New Groove.
I could watch.
he was saying it's formulaic.
No, I said it wasn't.
Oh,
I was
okay.
saying other
He
Disney
was saying it
movies
was
were
different.
formulaic.
The other
That's why I like
It's okay if the movies are formulaic.
It's okay, but that doesn't mean it makes it a great
Formulaic in
film.
the same
Great.
sense that
I
Marvel
know it
movies
doesn't,
are formulaic.
but that's not my point.
Yeah, Marvel. Yeah.
My point is.
That's why they're mostly just okay.
Yeah. My point is. My point. Okay.
They're
Just
not
because
amazing
something-
movies.
They make tons of
That's
money
like
for a
saying.
reason.
That's like saying.
Well, yes,
I mean,
it's a,
I don't even
it's
know
a
why I brought
formula,
that
It's
up.
a formula that works.
No, but that's
Yeah.
like saying action movies
But that
can have
doesn't make it a
generic
great
plots.
movie
I agree.
having a formula.
I
In fact,
agree.
the formula does work against it. It
Precludes it
when
from
you
being
are-
amazing.
basically just following, a step-by-step process. You like greatness
It's baking the
involves
same cake over and over
originality.
again.
Yeah.
Well, Captain Marvel's a perfect example, right? They did all the story beats that all the other what is it called, origin stories went, but it just didn't have character or flavor or anything. It was
What
just
movie did you just
Captain
say?
Marvel. It was just a movie where it was just not. I mean, they were like, we're in the '90s. She crashed into a Best Buy, and she didn't have to overcome any adversity besides the fact that she'd been lied to for a bit.
Besides the fact she's a woman.
Well, no, but like. No, but she really didn't. There was no point in the
I'm not
movie
sure
where
if that was picked up by the microphone.
No.
Good.
No, there's no point.
We'll find out.
There's no point in the movie where she was challenged or anything
Probably
like
was.
that. But it was.
If not, it was picked up by that
What
one.
I'm saying is, the original Ant-Man's formulaic, but it's interesting because it's like a heist film, and also it's about a guy who cares about his daughter. That's the heart of the movie. You know what I mean? And it's got a fun and witty script. That's what sets it apart from the other Marvel
Ant-Man,
films.
right?
Yeah.
I thought you said Iron Man. I'm like, I don't remember that being a heist.
No,
film.
Iron Man.
That was the first one.
Iron Man.
Iron Man's the quintessential superhero film. It hits all the same story beats, but it's because the performance that it stands
I
out.
feel it's ironic about saying quintessential.
Did you just
superhero?
say ironic?
No.
Ironic, yeah. Well, it's a new genre,
Iron
but because Marvel's saturated the,
it's not
the
a
market.
new genre. It's,
Well, for film, it's a new genre that's generally accepted
It is.
because it was not accepted before. Blade was probably the first pseudo superhero movie that was accepted enough to be considered like.
He's an anti-hero.
so the standard
but it's
thing
still
to do
considered
for
like a comic
superhero
book
movies
character.
was the origin story, which had been done so many times, and then Iron Man came along, and it was an origin story. And really, it was kind
Tobey
of
Maguire, the
origin
Spider-Man
stories.
films, probably popularized it. I would say they were the ones that
That
brought
was
everything
at
into
the
mainstream.
transition. X-Men and Spider-Man.
The original X-Men films.
Fantastic Four tried.
We're not talking about it years
yeah,
later.
yeah.
Well, we are talking about it, but not
we
for the good
ignore
reasons.
all three of those movies.
Yeah.
X1 and X2 are actually great films
Yeah.
when you go back and watch them. X3, no. But there's a trilogy problem with films where it's just like it's really hard for them to stick the third film correctly.
And I don't even
I-
know why.
No, but isn't it an odd phenomenon when you really think about it?
They use all the good
I think they
villains
just-
in the first two movies.
That's not even true, though.
No.
It's like that doesn't mean that, like, oh, we made 2 movies, time to write bad. Like,
Maybe they
Try to make it bigger and bigger and bigger. That's the problem. Is the conflict
maybe they like
problem.
hand it off to like a rookie director or something and say
No.
like
No, they don't.
No?
It's a personal.
I would
it's a
say
stakes.
it's worse.
They-
I would say it's fear, probably. Fear and money. It's, okay, we've got these 2 things that did well, and so we will not divert from these 2 things that did well. And so it kind of boxes it in while trying to do more of whatever they did.
Oh.
Let's take a
and
good film
they
trilogy, like in the sense
fail
of like a lot of
frequently.
people don't like the second Iron Man film that like as much, but they still think it's a fun film, and then the third film people think it's all right. But I would say
watched
it's like
both
probably
of them once.
I would say it's probably the strongest trilogy out of the Marvel. And I'm just using this example not because they're like the most amazing movies in the world, but just because they're so well known. But like each movie has its own kind of like
there's
moral
only
of the
2
story. Because,
trilogies in the
no.
MCU.
Spider-Man. I guess there's Spider-Man as well.
Well, but that's not part of the MCU.
And then they have Ant-Man.
I thought I mean
No, I'm not. I'm talking about Spider-Man.
Right, but you
The
were
new,
saying
the
MCU.
new films. Yeah, the new films. There's
Is there a
Spider-Man
third one yet?
Homecoming.
Far
Okay,
From
there
Home.
isn't, I guess. Okay.
Were you gonna count
because he's been in
into
Civil
the
War.
Spider-Verse?
Okay, it's better than Captain. Okay, it's better than the Captain America trilogy in my estimation. So since there's 2 trilogies, there's
Soldier
Captain America.
and
Oh
Civil
no,
War?
Thor, all the original 3.
Okay.
So
I'll
Thor
grant that.
Ragnarok
There are 3.
is the third film in the Thor. So there's 3 movies for Thor, 3 movies for
And there
Captain
will
America,
be
and
3
movies
there
for
will
Iron
be-
Oh,
Man.
I'm sorry. I thought you meant that Thor's trilogy was just as. Like,
And there
was
will
it-
be-
I was
No,
like,
no,
wait
no.
a minute. Are we forgetting Dark World?
No,
There
I'm
will be a third Spider-Man,
Of course,
likely.
at some point.
and there will be
Well,
a third
they're already
Guardians of the
making it. They're
Galaxy.
saying it's going to be like a Spider-Verse type of deal where there's a ton of different because Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield.
Oh yeah, I
So,
forgot about that.
Anyway,
That's so bizarre to me.
yeah, I don't know what's
But
going to
yeah.
happen. Daredevil might be his lawyer, which would be dope. But anyway, that's all besides the point. My point is, when you're making a trilogy, you have to have
It
an
would
individual
only be dope
flavor
if it's
for
Charlie
each film,
Cox.
and you got to make sure that the stakes.
Charlie what?
Charlie Cox is his name.
They
The guy
said
that plays
Charlie Cox
Daredevil.
was probably going to play, or
Oh, he
was
better.
gonna- I was going to say,
He's the only Daredevil.
I don't want to talk about the Sixth Sense stuff. I'm trying to talk about storytelling.
I thought you said Charlie on the Chocolate Factory.
That trilogy is great,
Charlie-
man. They need
Charlie
to
is
the
like-
first film in the trilogy.
Only if Charlie and the Chocolate Factory plays Daredevil. The movie. The movie plays Daredevil.
Yeah.
Just take the box of the movie and,
And
like,
you have it like
put the Daredevil mask on it.
each film has to have its own flavor, and you can't have the conflict rising to a level where the person watching it can't connect with it. It's the same thing with literature. You can't have you have to have an established stakes in each movie that are uniquely like in the second
Wood
film.
stakes.
In the second film, Iron Man's not more
We
in
do a
trouble.
lot of concrete non sequitur metaphors.
Iron Man's not as in
Oh,
much
I said
trouble.
wood stakes, not concrete stakes.
Oh, this is what I'm talking about.
In the second
I
film,
saw the gears grinding in your head, and I was like, "What's he doing?" And then you said it. Like,
in the second film, Iron Man's having to deal with his father's legacy being tarnished, and so that's like the main conflict. There's villains and other people around, but the main conflict has to center around his conflict with like resolving his relationship with his father, even though his father's been dead, but and also like the legacy of his father.
You saying the Andrew Garfield one?
No, I'm talking about Iron Man. I'm talking about Tony Stark
Oh.
and Iron Man 2. We are on
Uncle
different
Ben's
pages.
legacy's being tarnished. No, I'm pretty sure he was just shot.
So the Amazing Spider-Man, it involves
His
you know,
father's legacy.
Yeah, he's tracking down his father's research because he disappeared, and you know, there's
Is that the Andrew Garfield one?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's the Lizard Man one.
Yeah, the Liz. Oh man,
I didn't see those.
you don't have to. I did like the first one was fun, but it wasn't great. The second one was just
Music
awful.
for the second one was done by Hans Zimmer, and it's pretty good. I like there's one song that I like that he calls it kind of a was it an oboe concerto, but it's like it mixes kind of this classical sounding oboe, but then it's also like your techno like electro sound mixed in, and it's a cool song. It's like 12 minutes long.
all I was gonna say is if you can't like blow up in the first film like the Star Trek movies. Here's a good example.
It's called
I'm gonna loop it back
Electro
around.
Suite, by the way.
In the new Star Trek films. In the first film, they blow up Vulcan. Right? In the new films, it's like, okay,
Yeah.
how do you raise the stakes from blowing up a
Well, they
planet?
got to kill Spock's mom.
And then in the second film,
Spoilers.
yeah, and then in the second film,
It's like 10 years old now, isn't
Is
it?
her name?
the
Martha?
second film, they threaten Earth.
Martha!
They threaten to blow up Earth, but you're like, we've already seen this before with like Vulcan, if I remember.
I mean,
I forgot
blowing
what
up
Khan's
planets
plans
is the
were.
cool
It
new
was-
thing to do in
No,
sci-fi
and then
movies.
third film, they're like, we're gonna blow up a space station. It's like, by that point, you don't care about those individual people on it. You had to make it a personal conflict
This
with the
sounds
character.
like the same problem as the sequel trilogy for Star Wars, where they just get like bigger and bigger things being
Yeah,
blown
yeah,
up.
You know,
yeah.
instead
It's
of
like-
blowing up one
We blew up,
Alderaan, let's blow up 5 Alderaan.
and that was in the first film. That's what I'm saying. The stakes.
We don't
were
even know
already-
anybody from those planets.
The second movie, there was like no
Except
stakes
Mon
at all.
Mothma, I guess.
Wait, did she die?
Except I think she's alive.
Yeah,
and
I'm pretty sure she
Yeah,
didn't
she
die
is.
in that.
Isn't she alive in The Last Jedi?
I think so. I don't know, but the second
I'm
film,
just happy Dominic Monaghan.
Moynihan?
there was no. I didn't care about anything going on in the second
Mariatic.
film.
Who?
Brandy Buck.
What character did he play?
I don't know. They had a ton of characters that were like famous
He's there for,
actors.
like,
where J.J.
two
Abrams was
seconds.
paying his friends, and Ryan Johnson were like clearly like, "Hey, if you come in and say 2 lines and get in this cool costume, I'll give you millions of dollars." And then,
I'd
like,
only
I'm
want.
coming in.
I only
That's
want.
really what it was.
I'd
It's-
only want Dom there if he'd say like, "But what about taking?"
And Disney was
then just
probably
walk
okay
off.
with it just because, you know, having those actors in there is
You
kind of
make it a big name. No. You see, everything's corporate. But okay, first film.
Kind of like how you got Sylvester Stallone in Guardians of the Galaxy. It's like, he's there.
I think.
Rocky fans are coming to
No,
see
I think.
Guardians.
I think.
Rambo fans? I don't know.
Yeah. They wanted to highlight the original Guardians of the Galaxy because he was actually
It does
part
have
of the...
some, like, kind of classic, or not classic music, but just like 80s rock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They blew up 5 planets. Then they were like, we're going to blow up a couple ships that are fleeing the Empire. Oh, it's like, why do you care? They blew up 5 planets already. In the last movie, they're like, hey, we have thousands of Star Destroyers, and each one of them has a Death Star laser. This is awesome. And then everybody's like, we don't care because nobody understands the stakes. It's like,
I like
we
how
don't
in
care
this
about
podcast
any of
we've
that.
already established that we are severe nerds.
Yeah.
It's like
I
we
don't
already
care.
talked about Star Trek and Star
Okay,
Wars.
I did.
We opened both episodes with me talking about video games.
I did have a thought.
Yes.
Video
That
games
also-
that like hardly anyone knows.
No, but your video games made me think about a Star Trek.
We don't even
episode.
know if we have 2 episodes yet.
Hey, they made
That's
me,
getting cut.
they made me think about a Star Trek.
Move that in
episode.
post.
Because when you're talking about the 2 different societies that have developed and they're kind of fighting over resources, there's an episode of Star Trek Enterprise where they go to this planet
Back to Star
and
Trek.
there is two cultures,
I didn't even finish my
there's this virus that they found.
This is the way.
Yeah,
this
yeah,
is the way.
I know. I don't
wait,
care.
you haven't seen The Mandalorian.
This is the way.
I was thinking of the Ugandan Knuckles.
Oh,
The way.
The way.
The way.
The way.
I don't know.
Are you the
So
queen?
wait, did they steal it from the meme? Is that what the Mandalorian did? Where they're like, now, but you have these two emergent
The
cultures.
way is not open to Guidos.
You have one that's
I'm
like
gonna pretend like I know what you're talking about.
intelligent, and like there's like they have like what is called modern medicine and everything, and ships capable of
They have like modern medicine.
they have ships capable,
whatever you call it.
They have ships capable
So
of
we don't have vaccines?
impulse power, but they can't use warp drive. They're not warp capable yet. And then you have a culture that like lives in like certain sections of the planet, like a different alien race, but they're not as intelligent, or they're supposedly not as intelligent as the other one, so they kind of like just use them as menial labor. But it's not out of like them hating each other. It's literally just because like these people can't really do anything else, so it's kind of like a symbiotic relationship. And there's a virus that's threatening to take out, a genetic virus that's threatening to take out the more intelligent race of alien. And they go to the planet and they're like, oh, we need to cure them or develop a cure because millions and millions and billions of people are going to die if we don't do this. And the doctor comes to a dilemma because he creates a cure, but he also realizes that the less intelligent species is growing to a point where, like, if this race were to die off, and if this other sentient being was to continue on their technological development and as far as their genetic development, they would become the predominant race on the planet, and the other one would phase out. And so the conundrum is, it's like, if you were to cure these people, then the natural advancement of that culture on that planet would be disrupted. So you'd basically be coming in and playing God. Like,
So did you say anything about them being lizard people?
No.
No, that was Spider-Man.
Not Spider-Man.
Well, no. For some reason, the whole time you were talking about like.
Were you thinking about the Gorn or something from?
No,
TOS?
I was thinking like Argonians.
No.
I'm thinking of the Mustafarian people. Like there were two different species on Mustafar.
Oh, I didn't know.
Well,
that.
no, I was just thinking
one is
the
like the
specific...
smart but like tall, and then there's like the short and dumb but like better at menial labor.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
But
I was
this
just
isn't
thinking about
Star
the.
They're humanoid. They look like they just have slightly different like face wrinkles or something. I don't know. It was it wasn't their best costume design because it was like
Skyrim?
they have like one or two things jutting out, and it's like, well,
you really want
of,
Elder Scrolls 6.
it's like either the actors that they got to play the alien race didn't want a lot of face makeup, or they were just like, guys, we're gonna save some money and just add a couple. You can tell sometimes with different episodes where you're like, man, they went all in with the props, and then other episodes you're like, hey, they're in a warehouse.
Oh, she's green. That's how you know she's an alien.
Oh, in TOS, there's a couple. I'm not gonna go into details, but there's a couple times where like when you're looking at the makeup of an alien, they'll like flip over their hand and like you can see where it's smudged off, and you can see like the.
They've been using their hand.
Yeah. But anyway, that made me think of it because they had to make the decision. Are we going to allow, play God and come in and the Prime Directive hasn't been established, so it's like there's no rules for contacting other species at this point, but they decide against giving them the vaccine, but just giving them medication that will negate the pain of what they're going through, and they told them basically you have to develop cure on your own. They didn't tell them they had the cure either, because that would not be great. But it's like, that's an interesting moral dilemma I've always found, when you have like two emergent cultures on a planet, or two emergent groups, and it's like they're fighting over resources, or one seems to have an advantage over the others. Of course, in this case, you have an outside force coming in and interacting with them, but it's just like, I don't know. It made me think of it because you were like two people fighting over resources, and like, where have I? Oh, that was a week ago, and I thought that. So.
Well, the thing is that at least in Gunvolt, there isn't really a resource that they're fighting over. See, in Mega Man, they're fighting over
crystal. Yeah.
They're fighting over like limited, finite resources. Mm-hmm. Actually, it's funny because at the outset of at the beginning of the third game, the scientist person who created the copy of Mega Man X creates an alternative energy source, and like there's no reason for the government to be cracking down on them anymore. Mm-hmm. They still do, because the government gets taken over by someone who was exiled 100 years ago for instigating the war that resulted in the post-apocalypse thing. And that's more of like a character story where Zero has to come to grips with the fact that he's living in a copy body. Mm-hmm. He's still Zero, but he's living in his own body. Mm-hmm. The dude who was exiled to space was exiled with an AI he implanted in Zero's original body, and then at the end you blow that guy up and you realize I'm Zero even if I'm not in Zero's body, you know. But in Gunvolt, it's just there's the feared geopolitical instability because it's not just it's not like My Hero Academia where some people have quirks that are just like random and meaningless. These people, they're almost always like crazy abilities that make them walking juggernauts.
Yeah.
Like even the most mundane of these things are explosions and fire. And like some people get stuff like, oh, I can create illusions, but they're like physical manifestations. So I can literally like change what my body is, something like that. So like for instance, I said that the boss of the second game is called Pantera. She's like a little girl, but she like morphs using her powers into like an adult man actually.
Ooh, spooky.
Yeah, and then she could be an adult woman or whatever.
You morph into an adult man.
Whoa! But yeah, like there's one guy.
Is spooky.
Yeah, there's one guy who who's like a puppeteer. He has strings, and if he like gets you with him, he can like make you move. He can make inanimate objects move. That is
creepy.
There's one guy who can just overwrite the world because like his whole thing is like being a hacker. He's the elite internet troll guy. He's like, I hate him so much, but people love him. So like, he can literally overwrite reality and just like in a limited radius, and he can make.
Okay, I was gonna say there has to be some sort of cap on that.
Right. The thing is, supposedly the main character's ability is like the most OP of all. It's just lightning. But he can if he knows how, he can like recode things like around him, but only if he like knows what he's
JavaScript
doing.
or
I mean, I don't know. It's got to be at least C++ for this guy.
He's got an A+ certification.
Just straight machine language.
Man, he might get arrested if he
reprograms
some Apple devices. He's gonna get arrested.
Yeah.
He doesn't have his AppleCare Plus certification.
Well, it's funny because in both series, you play as a terrorist. Zero,
awesome.
you are a terrorist engaging in guerrilla warfare against the city, whereas in Gunvolt, you are engaging in guerrilla warfare that ends every mission with a murder. Well, I say murder. Yeah, it's murder. You're killing an agent of the regime. The regime is evil. Fair.
Yeah. Then it's probably well established. It's not like.
And the thing is that in Zero is a like 200 or 300-year-old robot by this point. It's 200 years old. By the time of the Zero series, whereas Gunvolt's just a 14-year-old kid. He's just a kid. He's a child soldier who was experimented on because before he didn't have the lightning powers, and now he does. Why is his name Gunvolt? They named it was Project Gunvolt, so they gave him the name. What's his name? No one knows. It doesn't matter. His name is Gunvolt.
I was gonna say it's not bad to have like a main character who's a terrorist because actually in Star Trek in Deep Space Nine, Kira Nerys was kind of like a freedom fighter at the beginning of the series.
Well,
that's
all
what
terrorists
you
call
get.
themselves freedom fighters.
Well, I know that's what I'm not gonna go too into much detail because he's eventually gonna watch DS9.
And there's actually there's some pretty neat dialogue in the third game of the Mega Man Zero series where the Copy X guy, he dies in the first one, but he gets resurrected in the second game. Sorry, in the third game, by the evil dude who was exiled, and he has this stutter, and the idea is that he's not X copied again, he's Copy X copied. So it's like how when you copy a copy, it kind of breaks down. So he has like a speech impediment, and it's really interesting. And they have like this Zero and X and Copy X have this back and forth about like the nature of justice and like who's right, and it's pretty interesting. Coming from like a kid's game made in 2004, 2004. But for Gunvolt, what makes it interesting, I think, is that there's no resource. It's people are looking at these walking apocalypse.
An individual person can cause
so much
crazy amount of damage.
Like for instance, the guy I was talking about in the first game, who you die,
Who you die? Who you die?
Who died?
Man, you die.
Who you kill?
Who you die?
Named Nova.
I died, you bro.
His whole thing is psychokinesis, like literally just like moving stuff with his mind, and like he's nigh unstoppable.
I know this is making something. This is a weird connection, but there's a character in The Boys whose ability is they can blow up people's heads with their mind.
Ew.
And that just made me think of it because I'm like, mind control is one thing, but that ability freaks me out more than anything. Like, imagine if there was somebody who could just like walk into a room and blow up
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. That was
No,
a big...
but
But
that's
I
fine.
was just like...
Anyway, the problem is the biggest problem I have with Gunvolt is that playing as Gunvolt is not very fun, because Gunvolt's
no.
in Gunvolt's entire play pattern is you shoot these darts at people, and
Darts of Judgment? Just kidding.
Morrowind?
Yeah.
Okay, shut up. If you tag
Thieves
someone
Guild
with
Quest. Do you remember which one?
no,
Do you remember they are?
they're in Altsatha,
You got all correctly, but where?
Aldadroth.
You're thinking too broad. Hone in.
More masculine,
Aldredania?
less broad.
I don't know. Where are the... Think Mages Guild locations.
So anyway, when you play as Gunvolt,
Oh, you know what it is now.
No, I
I
don't.
know what it is.
Aldrune.
Oh, it's Alderon.
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 Alderaan.
That's where Basil Oregano was.
Basil oregano.
Where Leia Organa's non-biological father.
I just imagine like Leia Organa opening a crate and finding muck in it, or Cliff Racer plumes.
Yeah. Anyway, so with Gunvolt, you shoot a dart at an enemy. It tags them, and then you. Yeah, I know.
I don't know.
He doesn't know what we're talking about. Let's skip to something else.
It took me a moment to figure out.
Yeah. And Gunvolt's thing is that he activates a lightning field around him. And like he can like stop projectiles. Like if you
That's
shoot,
awesome.
like missiles get blown up, but energy shots still go through. And if you hit someone with like the dart, it conducts electricity. So when he activates his lightning field, it starts shocking them. The problem is that that's basically it. Whereas his rival Copen, because he's named after a car. The thing is, actually, it's funny. In
Unicope.
in Japan, he's named Acura, like Acura.
Yeah.
But like Acura is like a mom van sort of thing, you know.
Yeah.
But so they named him Copen for the Daihatsu Copen, which is a Japanese like sports car, which has actually been discontinued since 2015. So it's kind of like a
With
legacy
your
name.
donations, we can buy one.
Anyway, Copen gets to fly around the stage.
We won't,
with
but we could.
Yeah, we won't.
Click the donate button.
But please
below.
give us money. No, I didn't
We
say
don't
that.
have a donate button.
We will.
Yet.
As far as I know.
We have a Patreon. No, just kidding.
Anyway,
Not yet.
Copen gets to fly around the screen and do whatever he wants. He just like literally he just gets to fly. Like you have like there's like a set amount of like
Does he have boosters or anything?
boosters. Yes.
Okay, I was
The
gonna
whole
say.
the whole thing is he doesn't have.
When he said he flies initially, I was like,
No, he doesn't have superpowers. His whole thing is his dad was killed.
He's a really talented young inventor.
Yes.
And his whole idea is to create a whole bunch of kind of pseudo superpowers so that he can sell them to the entire world. So when everyone's super, then no one will be.
It's funny because that's
that's actually what I was thinking.
No, yeah, it's funny because that's the exact opposite of what he wants. He wants to just genocide all of the people with superpowers.
Man, I feel like whoever wrote Gunvolt and whoever wrote Mega Man just was like, hey guys, I think I got a cool plot device. Okay, let's
should
go to the
steal
pitch meeting.
from The
Genocide.
Incredibles.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the thing is, like, there's like a 7-year
There was
gap.
kind of a genocide in that one because he was actually going out and killing supers.
Yeah.
Oh, that movie is dark when he actually, whenever they're going over the list and it's like eliminated. That's like a dark kids movie.
Mm-hmm.
You can't.
That was honestly a pretty cool.
Especially
moment.
whenever he dies, when he gets sucked up in the airplane turbine.
Yes.
That's an actual
Yes, the
element
fact
of the
that
movie.
he dies, yeah.
And
And it's not just like he falls off a cliff, dies.
Oh, he's
Yeah,
like
that's a
panicking.
brutal-
Oh, it's
oh
freaky.
man. Imagine, I'm sure somebody's edited blood into that.
Ew.
Just as,
Dude,
I think I watched
It doesn't
that.
show him.
Why would you?
No, in the
even,
It
generator.
infers it.
Why would you even say that?
It doesn't show him getting sucked into the turbine.
No, I know, but somebody had like.
I think.
No, it doesn't.
No,
I
it
was
just shows
gonna
his
say,
cape
I-
getting caught and him getting pulled towards it.
Yes.
But I think they probably interposed, like they cut out and then they cut back in and just showed the generator and then they.
Why?
I don't know.
I don't think that's.
No, somebody did
So
that.
morbid.
I don't know. Okay.
It's morbid anyway. You get sucked in even if you don't.
I don't think it
see
ever
Needlessly
shows-
grotesque.
Okay, maybe there might be a way to do it.
There's no way he could have escaped that though.
Kind
It's
of
just.
puts me in a
of
bad
course not.
mood.
You know, I kind of like I don't know, not in kids movies obviously, but I do like violence quite a bit. It's very entertaining. Like
I do like violence.
I was trying to not say anything so that we could isolate that.
no, I wasn't. No. I'm gonna be honest here. I'm gonna be 100% honest. when I watch
Probably.
TV shows
Just like
that are
Caleb's emotional state.
that have a
What emotional state?
that have a ridiculous amount of violence, and like I'm enjoying watching, you know, like, oh, that person totally deserved to die and stuff like that. I'm not saying that I would want it to exist in real life, but it helps you to understand, like, a lot of people are like, why would gladiatorial combat back in the day be a
You watch
thing?
a lot of Happy Tree Friends.
Oh, I can't. Now that show, it's just, that's needless. That's like next level.
I guess even villains have standards.
No. But I mean, it's just not. I mean, it's just. I don't even know how to describe it. But my point is, you understand why
Happy Tree Friends is entertaining in the most morbid way possible.
Yeah,
Like,
the Roman
it's
people
terrible.
weren't like just. They were just like us. I mean, come on, we like it whenever a guy gets what's coming to him in a show or
Yes.
something.
Yes.
You know, and so the gladiatorial combat, if you had somebody you're rooting for and you got the other guy, it's just you're swelled up in emotion, and it's just like we do the same thing. We just do it with movies, you know, like
Yeah.
or video games or
Yeah.
media. You know, the good guys, generally speaking, you know, just give what the bad guys deserve to them. So that's a weird way to describe it, but and we enjoy it. But I guess what I'm saying is
I'm
like a lot
not
of
sure
times.
if I philosophically buy the whole, like, oh, people need
A way of, releasing their aggression. That's what sports are for. And I mean, in a manner of speaking, it might be true.
No, that's what entertainment's
think-
for. It's not what sports are for. Because
Well-
you have to root for some. It
Well,
gives you something to
sports
root
is
for.
an example of it.
I wonder-
I'm not sure
I mean,
if all of that is
the thing is-
entirely
The
true.
thing is, I think that aggression is, in my opinion, it's usually a result of something else in your life not going very well. See, you can say, "Oh, I'm expending energy in a way that's healthy." Fine, and like, oh, my
I would
competitive
say-
spirit.
say
That's
aggression
that's
in the
fair.
sense of pent up energy,
Well, yeah, not necessarily
Oh, as
violence.
as opposed
When I
to
think of aggression-
aggression as in like
Violence.
Blood
yeah,
sport.
yeah.
That's what I
aggressive.
think of when I use the word aggression. So I guess that
Right.
should
I
probably
meant,
get my
I
priors
meant
out of the way.
aggression in like the, I guess.
But, okay, but then why has it
Socio-
been a constant? This is my question though,
way.
because you have to
Social
find some way to
society
explain why, whether it be in media nowadays or whether in combat back in the day, why every culture has had an outlet for that type of
I suppose you
people
could say
fighting, and then there being a victor, and then somebody losing in a way that's. Because think about like the most popular TV
Capitalism.
shows. They're not TV shows that
Late stage capitalism.
they're not TV shows where like the most popular TV shows are the ones that are violent. We're being honest. When you
Wait.
think of most of them, sitcoms are probably up there too. I'm not saying there aren't shows.
Wait, what
that,
did you say?
He said
the most
violent
popular
TV
type of TV shows are the ones that are violent, like the critically acclaimed ones. It's very rarely that there's a show or has some sort of action. You could even say that, even taking violence out. Like the hero
I'm
swinging.
pretty sure there's probably just some kids movie that's like the most popular thing.
Even in kids' movies, there's violence, though. We were just talking about Incredibles. Like the fighting, the explosions, everything like that. I mean...
I think Incredibles is very unique in that respect. Sorry. Incredibles is a unique movie. And I don't think it's fair to try and typify kids' movies and use that as the Incredibles as an example. I think Incredibles stands on its own.
Actually, you have seen there was kind of a stage where like kids' movies and stuff were more... Like when you look at Johnny Quest, man, back in the day, they would like blow up people in it. Like I was
mean,
looking
Looney
at the
Tunes
animation.
was rather
Looney
violent.
Tunes was extremely violent when
Yeah.
you look at it.
They're constantly hitting people with
With hammers and shooting them with guns.
The
and
dynamite.
The dynamite, boom, meet. You
But
know,
it was
it's
never in a...
It's not grotesque. It was just like it was playful, but it still exists. That's what I'm trying to say. Even in its playful form,
Well,
it exists.
isn't it because... See, the thing is, you can't blow someone up with dynamite in live action because he'd die. But you can do that in animation because anything can happen in
Are you
animation.
gonna watch The Boys someday?
Probably.
Oh, I can't ruin anything. Well, I didn't want to say it because I know Andrew's not, but there's a really cool scene, but I don't want to describe
Even
it.
if I haven't, others might not have.
Ah.
Well, don't say it anyway.
We
Whatever.
already spoiled like
I don't
5
care if I
TV
spoil the
shows
Star
and
Trek
4
shows.
video games
I don't care if I
and 3
spoil the
movies.
new Star Trek movies because I wouldn't recommend people see them. So
So something I was
Now
talking
those
about,
games you're recommending people play them.
Yes,
So that's on you.
Absolutely.
That is on
Please,
you if you
please
spoiled it, though.
support Inti Creates. I really want this next Gunvolt game to be good.
How big's the studio?
They're like a mid-sized studio. They're not. They have like their own. Do you remember the old Blaster Master series of games?
Mhm.
They purchased the studio that does that, called Sunsoft,
Mhm.
and they remade Blaster. Actually, I think it's like a sequel. Like they redid Blaster Master 1 and 2, and those games are actually pretty fun. Worth a replay? No, not really.
More like a Blaster Master. More like Blaster Disaster.
No, actually, the games
Hey,
are actually pretty fun. And in the DLC for the second one, you can play as Copen and just completely
I see.
trivialize all of like the platform.
You showed me that. You did show me
Yeah,
that.
yeah, by flying around everywhere. It's awesome.
I was going to tell you one thing before, and this is good for people to know who are watching. And it's an idea that Brian and I were talking about.
Watching the side of
'Cause
your head.
I didn't get to actually.
In the back of your head.
I didn't actually get to describe.
I don't know how long,
the.
but you were like more turned towards me.
Yeah, now I uncomfortably shifted. Like I gotta be better.
Of course,
have
I've been
better
tiny.
posture. But I was gonna say, Brian and I
sure
were
to get your
talking
good
about
side.
our idea
I don't have a
for
bad side. So.
a couple episodes of this, and also just in general. I didn't get to adequately explain the Morrowind plan for the script and everything, which would involve our listeners
My
as well.
head is like half the size, man.
Whatever.
Listen, I just have a very
He has
bulbous
a-
head. All right.
So do I.
So
You don't.
It's like
Your head is much narrower than mine.
well narrower, perhaps,
Yes.
but it's like it's
Bulbosity is bulbosity a word? It is now.
Bulbosity.
Bulbosity is.
Man, there's a
It's
lot of
a
bulbosity.
very small bulb.
I want to go through the Morrowind main quest and pull out the text dialogue between you, like the whoever the NPC or not, whoever the playable character is.
Calling me an NPC, bro?
You're an NPC, bro. No, whoever the playable character is.
Orange Man
So the
Dad.
Nerevar, the dialogue you have, as well as the dialogue that the different people,
Okay.
characters
why do you
have.
want to pull it out?
and put
So
it
we're on
onto
Morrowind now.
paper, and
Apparently.
write a script, like not like a movie show or TV show.
Wait,
but
are we
like
giving away?
no, I'm telling them too because they want to. That's the thing. It would be on here, but
Okay.
It's a thing that'd be on here.
it'd be like a script, right? So one of us would play Nerevar.
Wait,
the
you
other
want us to
guys
do
would play the
acting?
characters. No, we read it.
Read
It's
it.
like a script
Okay.
read.
It is a cool idea.
Yeah. And for the quest, you and I would want Brian's going to be left out of the process of making it because he's going to read the dialogue for the first time, and that's what will make it awesome, or one of the things that'll make it cool. But for the quest, like when you go to a ruin and capture something, we would write a brief kind of like description of the different things that happened to the Nerevar when he went there, and then we would come back to the dialogue, and then just do a reading on air.
Well,
Nerevarine.
Lord Nerevar.
Nerevar was the guy's name. It's funny. There's actually there's a line of dialogue in Morrowind where the Breton woman, the person who voices the Breton woman,
spoilers.
will sometimes say, like, just random NPCs will say, "Are you the one known as the Nerevar?" And the idea is that she's like clueless and stupid. So when you say that, like,
Okay, the Nerevarine.
the Nerevar, it's like, all right, lady.
Okay, the
I mean, it does look
Nerevarine.
a little bit like a Breton woman.
I'm gonna choke you out. Anyway, that's the idea.
He does like
and I wanted to
violence.
ask you on air, would you totally be down to do a project like that?
Sure.
Because I thought it would be so cool because he hasn't heard some of the dialogue.
This
and
is like proposing to someone in public. I can't say no, or I look like an idiot.
You see, I'm totally impressing you. But like the Hortator quest for House Halau, the awkward
Halu.
halal. I can't even pronounce
Halal?
Halal.
When he was a kid,
Praise.
when he was a kid, he called it hollow. House.
I couldn't
hollow.
pronounce it.
Yeah, he couldn't.
Oh.
And
It's
apparently
gotten
he still,
slightly better.
He still can't.
You're talking to the guy who used to say cleaning implement instead of napkin because I couldn't pronounce napkin.
I mean, cleaning implement is very general. Like, it could be just
I said,
about
can you
anything.
pass me a cleaning implement?
How could you not say the word napkin?
You just like hand you a
Napkin
toothbrush.
or whatever. Napkin. I don't know how I said it, but it was weird. And my siblings were like, ha ha ha. So he's like, pass me a cleaning implement.
Okay, so it was humiliation who
Yeah.
led him to his insanity.
Yeah.
That's usually how it goes.
I just think a table read
Finds
would be fun.
violence
By the way, I said
entertaining.
you would be the Nerevarine probably because I feel like
The Nerevarine doesn't have a whole lot of lines, but that's fine.
Well, you have the lines you
Doesn't
select.
he talk to every single person?
Yeah, you have the lines you select.
Yeah, but like the
There are
thing
more
is,
questions.
well, no, they're not questions. You select dialogue topics, and then the person starts talking about it.
Oh, so it's like
In essence, it's like
Broccoli.
broccoli is a
Question
plant
mark.
that like blah 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 blah.
Broccoli
Like
is a
and like
plant.
you kind of have to fill in from the way the NPC answers how your character must have phrased the question. It's really weird.
Well, the thing is, you wouldn't have to be static. We could pass around who's doing whatever.
I don't
role,
mind
but-
it. I mean, are you okay with me being the narrator? Is what I mean.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
alright.
The other thing, you can spice it up
Oh,
too.
but,
I'm not
but
saying
that
you
would
don't.
not be your only role. So something else we were talking about is that for like quests and when the Nervarine actually has to go do something, one of the two of you, I guess, would describe the mission, the quest, and then I would type out a narrative from
Oh, yeah, that's right,
the
yeah.
description, and then the other person would read what I wrote.
Yeah.
Oh.
So basically, I would describe like a raid in Altsatha, and he would have to like, in his own mind and his own words, write it out, even though he doesn't know.
Trying to make it kind of an interesting narrative, but also like I have no idea what's going on. So
Yes,
it's kind of
yes.
like a mixture of let's make this kind of an interesting story / game of telephone.
That actually sounds like fun.
You see what I mean? And it
I
wouldn't be
feel
that
like I'm
hard
getting a
because
better
the
understanding
US EB Wiki, it has all the dialogue listed. So pulling the dialogue isn't going to be difficult.
Yeah.
Because they have the dialogue options and the dialogue. So pulling that.
Sure. Okay.
But yeah, we could do it on air for you guys over there. The 2 viewers that are watching
They're gonna
still.
hate it.
I don't care. They can get over
I mean,
it.
this is pre-recorded.
This is- yeah,
It's not live
yeah.
stream. So.
Whatever. But they're still here.
When
so.
when
Just
we
us
do
in the room, Caleb.
we'll live stream
Oh, yeah.
your
Ooh.
thing
Ooh.
that's gonna be live streamed. Your playthrough of the Morrowind main.
Oh, yeah. We are going to do the Morrowind main quest playthrough. Now you
we're
sound like an average Morrowind character, because that's one of the things that when you walk past him, they'll mumble occasionally, and that's what
Yeah.
it sounds like.
Oh, yeah.
Outlander. Yeah, there's like a ton
I
of memes
know.
about how
Outlander.
everybody in Morrowind hates you,
That's pretty cool.
which is great.
Makes you feel very lonely though.
In Oblivion, everybody's like, "Hello, welcome to Cyrodiil. Would you
You're
like to buy
my-
some bread?
You're my best friend.
Welcome to the arena."
Let me guess, someone stole your sweet roll.
No.
Let me guess.
And then-
Someone
I know
stole
that's
And then in
Skyrim,
Skyrim, everybody's
I know that's
no.
Skyrim.
In Skyrim, everybody's welcoming until you are a Khajiit, and then everybody hates you.
Well, it's
Or
'cause
if
they're
you
all
commit
druggies.
crimes.
Yeah, they're like, "Hey, why are you inside the city
Druggies?
walls? We
What?
don't want you
the
inside the
Khajiit
White
are
Run."
druggies.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Catnip.
You mean sugar, cocaine.
Yeah. I think the main quest would be fun to do too, because like, imagine the dialogue with Dagoth at the end. That'll be so fun for whoever does that. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
The dialogue with Dagoth is a
That's
is a
like
real
so
treat.
solid.
Yes.
So solid.
It is.
You know, and also I think a lot of the dialogue with regarding the Ashlander camps will be fun.
Yeah,
I think that
it's
would be
fun.
awesome.
I think it's fun to talk to.
Telvanni. The Telvanni are that's gonna be a blast. Think about like all the quests you have to do, especially that one with a. Never mind, I'm not gonna ruin anything.
Right.
Yeah,
We'll
but-
try and-
Yep. So I'm glad
Yeah,
you
the-
agreed on
the-
air
the-
because I forced you to agree. But
Few enough spoilers, the better.
Yes.
yeah. So
My buddy Brendan's also up for
yes. Oh, you already talked to him.
it. I'm-
Woo! Yeah. We got another one. Another person up. So one of us will have to do the female roles, maybe. So that'll be interesting.
We
The
did-
Breton woman.
I was
can
about to
do
say
it.
we did a great Breton woman.
Well, my hair's gonna be longer by then, so we'll go for that. No, I realized today I want to talk to you guys about it.
Are
Like,
you upholding gender stereotypes?
have you looked at like old pictures of people
No, he's
from,
breaking
from the
boundaries.
70s? Like just
I mean,
in general, have you seen
I
pictures
have.
of people in the 70s? I think my hair is the length of like a lot of guys in the 70s now. That's what I was thinking this morning.
Mm, I think theirs was longer.
Really?
Just thought I'd keep going.
Oh man. Well, I gotta get a V-neck too to match the look. At least it won't look like Kip. You remember that time I just had a mustache? And I wore that old shirt.
Yeah, it didn't help that you were really
That
wearing
was
a
so
button
bad.
down.
I just wanted to leave immediately and shave it off. Like our buddy, for those who don't know, he drove me back to my dorm at the time, and I immediately ran up and shaved it off. Like, I mean, I've never run so
Is that
quick
when
in my
Luke
life.
was still there?
Yes, Luke was still there. So,
That was a while ago.
2018 thing.
isn't it crazy to think that much time's passed?
2017, 2018.
That
like
have been in
that-
college this long. I I was gonna tell you guys about a premise of a movie. If you, like, it's not too long.
Premise for a movie?
No, not for a movie. For a movie that already exists, and just to tell you like how awful it is. So there's this movie with Emilia Clarke, where apparently she plays
called Solo,
Daenerys.
a Star Wars story.
Daenerys from no, doesn't she play like Quira?
She's in that movie.
I know. I'm
Kira. I think
but it's
she's
spelled with a
just Kira.
Q.
Yeah. Kira.
Kira.
Keep going.
Anyway, this movie.
Andrew like went into it.
So
Seance for a
no.
moment.
My brain
Trance.
was working overtime and no results were found. Just keep going.
your hard drive. It's like with Apple computers.
No results found in database.
With
Please
Apple
try again.
computers, if you open up the computer and there's like a folder with a question mark on it blinking, then it means like the hard drive's bad. And I just imagine Andrew's mind, like his eyes roll back and there's
Corrupted
just
hard
like
drive. Yeah.
like the flashing image of the.
He's just doing a check disk in his commands.
Yeah,
command
it's wrong.
line.
There's a beep going off to tell you that it needs to be replaced, like the.
Okay.
Andrew just
Not
needed a
our room.
reboot.
Yeah. Or the SpongeBob episode where he's like, all you need to remember is fine dining
and
breathing.
All you need to
What's his
remember.
name? What's his name?
All you need to remember is Emilia Clarke
Yeah.
and Daenerys Targaryen.
Yeah. How do you breathe? No. Imagine if he wouldn't have told him the breathing part, and SpongeBob would have just like been shaving some cheese for somebody's salad and just passed over dead. That would have been.
So what were you talking about? This movie?
Anyway, she plays a working class like British lady who like is looking for odd jobs. She goes to the employment office. She finds a job for taking care of this guy who's recently like lost the ability to move his legs, and this guy is super depressed, and he's like he's contemplating like assisted suicide because he's rich, he's affluent, but he's like, I can't use my legs, my life's miserable, all this other stuff. So the story, they fall in love. That's the main premise of the story. But towards the end of the story, he still wants to go through with it, and his dad doesn't want him to, or his family doesn't, but they're not going to like go against him or anything like that. But then she thinks
of the story.
she thinks that she's convinced him, not to go through with it, and they plan to meet up at a certain location. But instead of him meeting up with her, there's a letter there that describes, he left her a ton of money and he's going to go through with it. But it ends on a positive note in the sense of like, or that's what the writers want you to, because it does remind me of a Star Trek episode, but I'm not going to read that. Anyway.
Thank you.
Welcome to the Star Trek cast.
But she goes to the office, and like at the end of the movie, she's like just talking about what the future of life's going to be, and like to imply that she's getting money or whatever. And it's like, that is so awful. It's like the whole, and I understand it could be like a tragedy, like Shakespearean in the sense of like, but what's weird is Shakespeare keeps it like there's no like positive thing at the end, or like, well, the kids died, but
it feels
then
bad,
everybody was
and everyone
great.
knows it feels bad, and you feel bad. And
But the implication was that he made an okay decision, that it wasn't entirely selfish that he chose to do that and leave her behind. But then
the reason it can be, I'm going to take a.
Trying to destigmatize
it's based off a book
suicide.
as well. That's another thing to
When was
acknowledge.
the book written?
I think it was like the 70s or 80s.
I wish I knew who had written the
or
book.
something. Yeah, I wish I had prepared a little bit more about it.
Stalin, probably.
No, the thing is, if this is written during the
was an
70s,
English author.
this probably would have been during
You
the.
guys actually thought I meant Stalin?
No, I didn't. We
Stalin's
both kind of
best-selling novel.
No, it was his pen. He used a pen name, so they wouldn't know
I
it was
mean,
Stalin.
apparently a young Joseph Stalin was very good looking, so if he
Also, I do have
he
a
put his
Joseph-
face to a romance novel, that would have been eaten.
I
up.
do have a Joseph Stalin story after this, but continue.
The 70s was the second wave of feminism. I wonder, and the second wave of feminism was pushing women into the workforce,
Mm-hmm.
the sexual liberation and pushing women into the workforce. Women's lib, they called it. I wonder if like the idea is.
She can function without him,
Right.
and
And the idea is that he kind of phases himself out to make room for her.
oh, it's so awful though.
That's Insidious, yes.
I think the whole entire premise of the movie, like up to the point, like because if the premise
The
would
idea is that, man, you are obsolete. Kill yourself and make room for woman.
well,
I feel like that metaphorical meaning is a lot more tolerable than like trying to suggest that suicide is like a good.
assisted
okay
suicide.
thing
There's a
to
big
do.
movement to
It
get
is. Well,
assisted
there is.
suicide
It is
legal.
it is okay because it's a man getting rid of himself for a woman.
It's a criminal offense in some states, like assisted suicides, but in other states it's been legalized. I did a whole entire report on it for my criminal justice course freshman year, because there's like networks of people who go around and do assisted suicides, like kind of like vigilante organizations.
They travel through the internet pipes.
Well, they do it with bags. It was so creepy.
Do they release internet gas?
They said it was like the least harmful way to do it, but they like
With
put a bag,
bags?
like a bag around their client's head,
They
like
just
a particular
suffocate
type. Yeah,
What?
when they're laying in their bed. It's an actual.
They don't
thing.
like overdose them with a medication or
No,
whatnot?
they said
Like,
Just
there's
commit
even
murder.
the guy who created it's called the Final Destination Network, is the people who go around and do it.
That sounds
And
ominous.
I know, and
You're really gonna call yourselves the final destination?
but they said we owe it to these people to let them go out on their own terms, which is super selfish. I was
so
like,
we'll put a bag in your head. That's our only offer. Like,
oh no, oh no. But I guess my point is,
Well, I mean, like, there's some pretty morbid potential for humor. Like, they just
you don't
assume...
even have any option of how.
I mean, like, what if they just assume you want it, but like you don't, and they visit you at night and they just kill you?
oh, there's creepy stories, because this one guy was like, yeah, my father, like, I just walked
Fairly
in and
certain
he was
that-
dead in his bed, and we didn't know why, and it ended up being that group of people came in. He had
So it
he
is
was
like
active.
an illegal group.
Yes.
Well, yeah, when they do it in states where
so-
it's illegal, but there are states where assisted suicide's legal. I mean, it is in
my point
Sweden,
being, my point being,
the
it's a
UK, I
network.
believe. That's why the book.
It's not just a network that works in states. Like they're trying to do this legally in the right way. It's like no, they're people who are trying to
Well, I think the broader
be kind
organization,
to the suicidal individuals.
Be kind. Suicide.
the broader
Be kind,
organization
rewind.
has a face of like, oh, we're arguing it as far as legislation, but there are elements within the organization that go out and just do it. So it's just like, it was super creepy figuring out that that's
Probably
an
with
actual
at least the tacit
organization.
approval of the leadership.
Yeah, and it is the most selfish act you can do, in the sense of like, whenever people were talking about like you could see it in the faces of the people. They're like, I want to go out on my own terms, because they did interviews with people and they're like, I don't want this disease to take me, and I want to know when I die, and it's like there's no consideration.
I really
of the
don't know if
family
I
at all.
would. I don't know if I would call it the most selfish act you can do.
Well,
I would
it's
say,
up there though.
I would say it completely ignores, the feeling, the fact that there are people in the world that care about you.
What is the most selfish action?
Yeah, I don't think there'd be one that's more selfish, because you're taking yourself out of the world.
I
when
want
other people
to know.
value you.
What do you guys think the most selfish action is? Okay, never mind. This is taking
Well,
too long.
no.
This is taking too long.
I think
No dead air.
I think it's just like, if any action in which you're harming yourself intentionally, for whatever reason. I mean, because there are obviously psychological reasons why you might do it, but it's going to have a negative effect on other people, but you do it anyway. Because I feel like any kind of like self-harm.
and it completely cuts off your ability to do any good.
Well, that's why it's considered the most selfish action by some people, because if you hurt yourself because you're depressed or whatever, it's like you can come back from that a lot of times. But if you take your own life, then there's no coming back from it. It's final.
Really, what's the difference between taking yourself out of the world and staying in it just to, take advantage of people? Then you're just like a leech.
Either way is bad.
Well,
I don't think there's a good.
How do you determine which one's worse?
Yeah, I don't know. I honestly don't know which one's more selfish. Anyway, but that whole movie premise, whenever I want to talk about it on the podcast, because whenever I first saw it and watched some clips from it, I was like, oh, this looks like a positive movie, because there is stories about people who are like really depressed and they don't want to be on Earth anymore, but then they'll meet somebody either and fall in love, or they'll actually, and I'm talking about like real life stories, or they'll find them a reason to live because there's a new positive element in their life. And it was just such a depressing and odd film premise, because it's
when
like,
did this movie come out?
the movie came out like a couple years ago. So, but it's just like, it's not even a tragedy, because I was thinking about that today. It was like, it's not even a tragedy, because they try to have that positive spin at the end, and that's what makes it insidious in my estimation. Because if you have him die and then her, like, it be tragic, a tragic ending, then it's like, well, then it sends a positive message, because it's like, okay, well, he was being selfish, they fell in love, and that
It's a
shouldn't be allowed.
cautionary tale.
It's a cautionary tale. But if you have him
what,
do
what
it,
you're saying
I
is
think
that
Olivia
the message
was telling me about the story. I think that's where
you're
I've
saying
heard
that the message a movie sends should be one that is productive.
yes, whether it's cautionary or whether it's
it doesn't have to be a happy story with a happy ending where only happy things happen.
As long as it's teaching a valuable moral lesson.
think about Romeo and Juliet. It basically the what I get from it, the lesson is
Don't
that
stage a suicide.
Infighting among families can have unintended effects on loved ones. I mean, in that case, literally them ending their own lives. You know what I mean?
Don't fall in love when you're 16.
Well, yeah, that's another one as well.
Or 13.
I was going to bring up a funny story, though, related to... Obviously, that's a fictional premise, but there's an episode of Next Generation where Worf... I have to say it, because it's so funny.
And you know, this is where we'll leave off. Episode of Next Generation.
This giant crate...
It'll be inclusio.
hits Worf's back. And you could totally tell it's an empty crate in the episode, because the way it makes the noise when it hits the ground, it's like...
We're talking about this
like
again.
the prop. And Worf, basically, in Klingon culture, it's dishonorable to, like, die if you're not... Don't die in battle in some way. So he's like, hey, Riker, I want you to kill me, like, so I can die with honor, because he thinks that this ritualistic suicide will allow him to die with honor. And the whole entire episode's about Worf not being able to walk, and Riker having to be like, hey, I'm not going to kill you, and Worf's like, kill me! And it's like...
Is that what Worf sounds like?
No, kill me! You know, Worf's more like, kill me. It's the honorable thing to do.
Worfina.
Kill me!
Worfed.
Warfu.
Oh, you'll be the episode with the Klingon mating rituals. You and Olivia are gonna be so awkward. It's almost
Riker-sama.
it's not as awkward as the episode.
I can't believe you said that.
But the Vulcan mating ritual is even weirder. So you're gonna.
Why are you talking about mating rituals?
Are there?
What? It's like is okay? What kind of show is Star Trek?
Why does he feel the need to specifically bring up me and Olivia?
I don't know.
Oh yeah, you'll have to cut the name. Yeah, I forgot about that.
No, it's not that. It's like why these people
like,
specifically?
Because they're watching.
They're a married couple.
Anyway,
you guys are married, so yeah, like
I don't know what. I'm not gonna tell you the resolution of the Worf episode because you're gonna watch it, but.
I hope he gets it with another barrel.
Yeah, imagine the end of the episode if like he got back on his feet and he's like, "Hey everybody," and then it's like he's in what is called a storage and another barrel falls on him. They probably had a clip where they've edited it to where like at the end of the episode he's like, "Well, back to my duties," and then you know it just crate falls on. And Michael Dorn's a tall dude, like a really burly dude, so it also looks silly because.
It's a styrofoam crate falling on a guy who would not be.
It's like when people throw
downed by
rocks in the original
styrofoam.
series on the set, and you get like a big creature throwing a rock, and it's like, that's
The
paper
physics
mache.
don't make sense
That's
because
paper mache.
the center of gravity. And whatnot.
Yeah.
Oh man. I'm sorry I brought up Trek so much, but it's just so entertaining. I mean, you brought up franchises you love. I think Brian was just the observer this episode. He was.
I'm always the observer.
You're like the watcher from.
With his
The watcher in the water.
with his bulbous head.
With his Mega Brain, Giga Brain.
Bulb shaped.
Mega Mind.
So,
Megamind Galaxy Brain.
if you liked Brian's Attic, remember to.
I figured it was ending before you said, you know, oh, I'm so sorry to bring up Star Trek so much. There was a small pause right before.
Yeah.
Or honestly, I feel like something we could do is just like fade out in the middle of like a topic. Like as it kind of goes down.
I want to end on a funny note.
Or like in the middle
Your
of laughter,
existence is
as if that's a conclusion. Like get a really good joke in, and it just like fades out through the laughter. That's what I was
Like, ha ha ha. That's the end.
No, the Vulcan mating rituals.
Or maybe.